Everybody, welcome back to the Spurs 95.1 podcast. This is Ray from London. Welcome everybody to the show. We've got a new guest on the show today. This is Manu from Woodford Green in North East London. Welcome, Manu.
Hi, Ray. Good morning to you, or good afternoon, actually.
Yeah,
Nice to be on your show.
thank you very much. It's a pleasure, and thanks for taking the time to be on our show. So, Manu, a lot of things happening with Tottenham, etc. The last 24 hours have been quite traumatic for a lot of us because of what happened to
Yeah,
Christian Eriksen,
yeah.
etc. So, do you just want to talk about your thoughts over the last 24 hours?
Well, like many Spurs fans, and I would say the entire football community, to be very honest, we had a terrible incident that we all witnessed during the Finland and Denmark game yesterday, and
Yep.
um, I think it was the reaction from everybody was just tremendous in terms of getting that unity and praying for Eriksen to make a speedy recovery. It's just puzzling and baffling what happened because 1 minute he was fine and then the next he was on the ground, and the players' reactions around it and everything else, and then it just seemed to get worse. But well done to the Finland and to the Danish players, the referee, the medical team as well. I was actually at Spurs when Fabrice Mbamba had that
Wow.
dreadful
Okay. Yeah.
incident. I was at that
Yeah.
game,
Right.
and again, we were all, everybody, the divisions just went away. We all were praying for the
Yeah.
speedy recovery, and that's what we saw yesterday. Gooners, other fans of all were saying get well soon for Eriksen and everything else. And I loved that what Lukaku did yesterday when he scored for Belgium, and he even said in post-match interview, I'm more concerned about my fellow teammate Christian, and hope he feels great. I mean, Christian was one of our legends. Sadly, his exit, and I was feeling slightly guilty about this yesterday as well, but I was slightly critical of how his performance went down towards the end of his time at Spurs. And but I'm so grateful that he's 100% okay now, and I think maybe going forward he needs to take a step back from football. But let's hope he gets his health and fitness sorted out first, and his family are all safe and fine after this terrible incident. It's just extraordinary.
Sure.
But it does bring that thing, after traumatic events like this, it puts things into perspective as well. And
Yeah.
we forget about that at times. We really
Yeah.
do
Exactly.
as fans. Yeah,
So I was watching the match yesterday, and it happened, and I was just in shock. I didn't
yeah.
know. I was fearing the worst. What were your reactions when it first happened?
Absolutely, 100%. There was a friend of mine, another fellow Spurs fan, who was saying the longer he's unconscious, every minute that passes by, there's a 7% less chance that they can
Right.
get the blood flowing and
Yeah.
all the oxygen flowing to his vital organs. So the longer that was taking, it was scary, and it did bring back memories of the Mamamba incident as well,
Yeah.
because I was in the South Stand upper when that happened, and it took almost about 45 minutes to an hour, if memory serves me right, till they actually took him on. But fortunately, I believe there was one of the Spurs fans was a doctor, a cardiologist
Yep. Yep.
at the ground,
Yep.
and he came on very quickly to give his assistance. But the medical staff and the training is just incredible. What also struck me, and I don't know about you, Ray, was how the players surrounded to
Yep.
protect
Yep.
those TV images. I think the
Yep.
TV director also should have cut away to the
Yep.
studio
Yep.
and whatever. There was no need for us to
No.
the world to see all of that. To be honest, it
True.
was distressing for everybody. You could see his wife was extremely distressed, and I'm sure now it would be good just to give them some privacy and let them hopefully wait for official communications on his recovery. But yeah, that's what really brought it home to me, that how shocking it is.
I mean, this guy, 29 years old, fit
Mm.
sportsman, going through all these tests and everything. It can happen to anybody, can't it, Manu? I mean, it could happen to anybody at any time.
Yeah, and again, there was I saw an article from the Spurs doctor, who's the cardiologist specialist, and he says these things you can't really legislate for. They do a lot of, particularly once a year as part of the medical fitness, and I'm sure he would have done as part of his transfer deal to Inter as well. Stress testing of the heart and all the normal sort of like checking the rhythms and everything else. So this is something that could have developed since the transfer. And the doctor was saying, I actually went through all my results when I was watching this, seeing if I missed anything.
Yeah.
And he said, I confirmed there was nothing missed. So, yeah, but well done to the medical team and to the captain of Finland, to Denmark as well, who gave him CPR as well, and to all his friends and the fellow teammates. I think we all didn't want to see. We all feared that it was going to end badly, but for once, somebody was smiling down on him and giving him a second chance, and I'm glad for him. I'm pleased for him and his family.
I think the main thing now that he gets better, and he should forget about football. If he doesn't play again, so what? At least you're living and you're with your family and everything like that, you know.
I think if he does come back to football, we could see protests worse than the ESL ones.
Yeah.
So
he shouldn't come back now. He's had a sort of a lucky escape or whatever you want to call it, and he should just. He's a great player. I'll never forget Christian Eriksen, the goal that he scored against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. When we finally killed that hoodoo and we won at Stamford Bridge, I will never forget Christian Eriksen, and he's always a legend, not just for that goal, but for other goals and others. The pass he did to Dele Alli in the semi-final against Chelsea, one of the best passes I've ever seen. I think he had a split second to look. This guy's a magician, but unfortunately we couldn't give him the trophies and the winning that he wanted. So he gave us great service, and he went with all my blessing. You know, I only want him to do well, and now I only want him to get better.
I mean, you're probably a little bit more forgiving than I was, because I remember the Liverpool game where he was just awful in that final few months, and he just didn't do. He just seemed to have given up, and it's the problem we've been experiencing for the last 2 seasons, to be honest. But not just with Eriksen, but other players. It seemed to just go across the whole dressing room at times, and I was very upset because I thought you're a professional footballer. You know, you're playing in our shirts, and you should live up to that and everything else. Yes, I'm grateful for the 4 years before where he took us, and you know, I remember that 2015-16 season, and then the 16-17. He was just awesome. That team was just awesome under Poch and everything else. I was just very disappointed that he just given up. And incidentally, I remember I was based out in Asia, in Singapore actually, and in 2019 the squad came over to do an exhibition match for the Singaporeans, as part of the ICC. We were playing Juve in a friendly, and we were invited to a training event. I'm lucky enough to get a ticket to go and watch that. And Eriksen was standing out there on his own, just training by himself, and not with the rest of the team and everything else. And that disappointed me as well. I don't know, because I thought at the time maybe he was still injured. But I think as we found out subsequently, it wasn't that. He was just slowly withdrawing himself from the squad and everything else. So I was disappointed. Yeah, it was. But then again, you know, there's a difference between a player exiting for whatever.
Yeah. Okay, man, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I know you got to get away now and watch the England match, but I appreciate your time that you gave us on a Sunday afternoon to talk to us. We really appreciate that.
No, thank you for letting me come on.
No, hopefully we'll get you on the channel again. Is there any final things you want to say to the fans? And then at the end, I want you to give us a come on you Spurs before we leave.
Okay, well, I just want to say to all the fans, and just let's be optimistic. Let's stop the criticism, and let's give these guys a chance, and let's see what they can do, and that's it. And then we'll make a decision at the end of the season as to whether we're progressing or not. And let's get behind all these Spurs players who are playing in Euro 2020. It's weird to call it 2020 and 21. But let's get behind all the Spurs players, and let's hope they all have a good performance there. And we'll look forward to seeing them back at the stadiums next season. And as you requested, come on, you Spurs.
Excellent.